I refused to hide my rainbow flag from my girlfriend's parents until she revealed she was forced to hide who she truly was from her family for years. My girlfriend's parents are visiting us for the first time. I am bi, and I have a rainbow flag. It is cute, and I love it, as it took a long time to come to terms with the fact that I like men too, and even more time to be in a place where I could come out. She wants me to take it down while her parents visit. We have met a few times before, but I haven't really talked about it, and they have assumed I am straight. She wants me to take it down so as to prevent avoidable conflict. She understands that her parents are in the wrong, but she just wants me to pull it down. It is just a flag, and it's not like it has any impact on my life. I am being stubborn here. It would really hurt me to take down the flag. I know I'm running the risk of ruining everything by not taking it down. I feel I'm being insecure here, and I should just pretend to be straight for one more night. She misses her parents, and I feel like I am being too stubborn about it. Now, as I said, we do have an update that follows with this one, but we'll cover a couple of comments before we do move into it. With a Misadventure who says, "Not the asshole. And let me give you some advice, she's not the one. The one would never ask you to take down your flag or to pretend to be someone you are not, unless it was to keep you safe, not even for one day. I'm not saying break up with her. I'm not saying it's over. I'm not saying she's bad, but she's not the one. The one will be proud of you, who you are in front of everyone, because she or he loves you for who you are. You'll meet them one day." And Trillion222 says, "Take it down and replace it with a flag saying, 'Welcome, bigots.' If they complain, ask what they think is directed at them." And Warm Gray says, "Not the asshole. You can take the flag down if you want, if you don't want to have that conversation today, or if you decide you don't want to have that conversation with her parents at all. But it should be your choice. Pretending to be straight isn't a small ask, it's a big one, and you've got to ask yourself how long she expects you to do that. Is she telling you she just isn't ready for the fallout right now, or should prefer just not to have to deal with your sexuality in perpetuity? Look, I'm bi and haven't bothered coming out to my partner's parents. It's not important to me, as I'm rather private, and they were older, conservative, etc. I don't hide who I am, but it also doesn't tend to come up. But here's the thing. I made that choice. He never asked it of me, and I know he'd have my back if it came up. That's very different from being asked to closet yourself for someone else's comfort. You need to have a discussion with your girlfriend about this issue going forth. If you take the flag down now, is that part of her expectation that you continue closeting yourself for her around her parents? For how long does she expect you to do this? With other people too? What happens if you don't want to? This year's is not really about this flag. Make your choice for today, but don't avoid the underlying discussion. And if your choice is to fly your flag, be proud. You don't have to closet yourself for anyone. And if she can't see why it's such a thing she's asking, that's a huge problem. Now, with that being said, let's move to the update to see what it says. So, update, I took the advice given to me and held firm and did not take down the flag. But what happened was the closer her parents' visit got, the more stressed out she got. I couldn't really watch her be this upset when I could do something about it. I took it down. I told her I did it because I loved her, but we will have to talk about this later. She seemed extremely relieved. The visit was okay, but she was still stressed out and zoned out for the dinner. She blamed it on work stress. I dropped the subject. I knew there was something there that she was not telling me, and I needed to give her time to process it herself. This week, she told me she had feelings for girls too, and she had been caught making out with her girlfriend in high school. That year had been hell for her. She'd been threatened with one of those camps, and she had to lie and throw herself back deep into the closet to survive high school. She cried a lot when she was telling me this. It must have been a very traumatizing experience. She also told me she feels incredibly ashamed of not coming out sooner, and yeah, those had done a number on her. She apologized for exposing me to them. We have a lot to talk about and discuss, but yeah, I'm feeling happy she felt comfortable enough to come out to me. I feel she wanted to date someone in the alphabet mafia so that she knew she would be supported when she wanted to come out. I love her. We have a lot to work through, and I'm not really interested in putting up with her parents ever again. They can write off. She is planning on getting therapy. And apart from the parents in this one, I gotta say, it's a pretty wholesome update that, you had the initial judgment, and you had every right to, keep the flag up and stick to your guns on that one. But you saw how your girlfriend was upset and getting stressed out, and you could see there was something deeper there, and it required further conversation. And you went down that route and found out a lot more about your girlfriend. And now you're gonna be there where you can actually support her with you, who's had similar feelings to it in the past, which I think is just incredibly wholesome and all that kind of stuff. And love wins the day here, to me anyway. Let's go to the comments below and see what they say. With NightFox42 says, "I'm glad it worked out the way it did between you and your girlfriend. And I'm with you. Her parents can just F right. off, along with any other parents who'd ever consider sending their kids to conversion camps. That's disgusting and vile, and those things need to be outlawed. Hopefully she'll consider going low, slashing no contact with her parents. This is a hill to die on. And Photon Bath says, this turned out surprisingly wholesome. I mean, her parents are terrible people, but what transpired between the two of you was very sweet. I think commenters on this sub get very rules lawyery and tend to forget that there are complex people behind all these stories. I do it too, and me. I'm glad you cared more about helping her out than about being right. Hope she can recover from this trauma. Griffin says, thanks for the update. There were so many comments on the original post saying that you should break up, but instead, you talked it out like grown-ass people who care for one another. And now you understand each other better, and that's beautiful. My partner and I are both queer in a marriage that looks het to outsiders. It's been a journey for us to be truly comfortable with bringing our whole selves to our relationship. And we are slowly taking steps of being our whole selves in other parts of our lives. I'm so glad you and your girlfriend have each other. Be patient and kind to each other, especially if she deals with past traumas. It's not easy to separate from both parents, even if they've been abusive. Story 2, the dad at the park. Our next story comes from codename Cushy. Am I the asshole for stopping another parent from talking to my kid at the park? Today, I, a 30-year-old female, took my 6-year-old son to a local park. He'd brought a small ball to play with that he and another kid were rolling to each other down a spiral slide. At some point, the ball shot off the end of the slide, and my kid lost track of it. When we found it, another little boy, younger, probably about 2 or 3 years old, had it and didn't initially want to give it back. My son started to tear up and get upset but didn't yell or say anything mean, and the other kid's dad intervened and made his kid give back the ball. I thought the situation was done, so I called my kid over to me. As he turned, still visibly unhappy from the altercation, he said, "Mom, that kid tried to steal my ball." I went to respond to calm him down, but before I could talk, the other kid's dad stopped my son and began to lecture him about how his son wasn't stealing, he was just little and didn't understand. I made my way over, trying to interrupt the guy and diffuse the situation calmly, but he continued to talk over the top of me and told my kid that he thought it was time that he, my son, went home. It was then that I got louder, and in between this guy and my son, had told him that he needed to leave my kid alone and that it was inappropriate for him to chastise someone else's kid like that. He started to argue with me and say that it wasn't appropriate to talk to a kid, politely at the park. After a few more short words, which admittedly got a little heated, I told him to leave us alone and I was done talking to him. He continued to let his kid follow mine around the park until he was so uncomfortable he asked if we could leave. As we left, the guy made a loud, snide comment about how rude I had been to what I assume was his wife, who had stayed silent throughout the exchange. Am I the asshole? Absolutely not the asshole. He gave the ball back and then decided to lecture your son, a 6-year-old, even when the kid said he was stealing from him. Everyone knows, like my nieces and nephews and stuff, a 6-year-old doesn't understand stealing, so they're just seeing their ball being taken. It's like, the life's ending, they're taking my ball, you know? And then for that person to get upset over it, I mean, come on now. Dude crossed a massive line. And just imagine if that's his sort of attitude, and that's what he's passing on to his own child, what that child is going to grow up like. Oh God, but let's hope it doesn't. Let's hope the kid doesn't. But Out for Blood says, not the asshole. This guy really should have left you all alone after your kid got his ball back. It's definitely not his place to try and teach your child anything. Curious Jess says, in quotes, made loud, snide comments about how rude I had been to what I assume was his wife, who had stayed silent throughout the exchange, and then says, if you ask me. This sentence tells you everything you need to know about this guy and his MO. Poor lady probably is humiliated by his behavior on a regular basis. Not the asshole. And Sai says that, not the asshole. Why is that dude so bitter towards a 6-year-old? Yes, his kid is young and doesn't fully understand what stealing is, but also your son is young and doesn't understand it either. He didn't need to chastise him for it. Like, dude, your toddler's not going to build up a reputation as a thief because a 6-year-old said he stole something. Smiles P says, not the asshole at all. What's this guy's problem? He started out fine by getting his kid to give the ball back, but then turned into a turd when he decided to lecture your kid, and then a giant turd by also talking over you. And one more from the Empty Remains, who says, not the asshole. The guy was totally aligned by the time he told your son to go home. I forgot about that as well. Story 3, The Office Food. Our next story comes from Storm Lady. Am I the asshole for refusing to change the quality of my food because of a jealous coworker? Hello, Reddit. I'm on mobile, so excuse any typos or formatting errors, please. So I transferred cities about half a year ago or so, and in this new site we work 12-hour shifts, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. or 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. That means that since I have a very high metabolism, I am not a fan of the cafeteria on site, that I pack breakfast, a lunch, 2 snacks, and baked goods to have with my very, very late tea, or 2 dinners, 2 snacks and a breakfast. Now I am a huge foodie. I have been learning to cook since I was 8 and took a couple of baking and cooking classes. Since we work in a very tight-knit office, we all have our meals together, 4 people. And I'll usually pack a bit more since I like sharing food with my teammates. Fast forward to yesterday, I get a call from a fellow coworker who works on my opposite shift, think on nights while I'm on days, and vice versa, who also happens to be married to one of my teammates. She was very aggressive from the get-go, demanding that I stop bringing my elaborate meals to the office, and I should just do what everyone else does and get my meals from the cafeteria. I was firm, said that it was not her business what I eat or where I buy my food from. Then she comes out and says that her husband has been complaining non-stop about how she does not make him food like I do, how she isn't as put together as I am, how I am always pleasant and smiling from the start to finish of my shift, what all she does is complain. To be fair, I had very strict parents growing up, and that translated to never stop stepping foot outside of the bedroom unless I was dressed and ready to face the world. I felt bad for her, told her that these kinds of things should be discussed between her and her husband, and I shouldn't be involved in them, but also that I will not stop bringing meals from home. She hung up on me after calling me a B-word. In my opinion, I think he needs a reality check, that his wife is not responsible for his meals, they work the same hours and should share housework. Also, he should stop comparing her to other women. But she also should not be blaming me for living my best life. So, Reddit. Would I be the asshole if I continued bringing better meals than is served in the cafeteria and keep sharing them with my teammates? Now, it's one of those ones to me that is clear from the get-go that you're not going to be the asshole, and you was never the asshole all the way through it, but I'm just here for the story. I absolutely love it, the drama. But the husband is clearly an asshole in the situation to be going home and saying all this kind of stuff about his wife, expecting his wife to be doing these things. Wife is an asshole for taking it out on you for whatever reason she thought that was a good idea. It's one of those ones that I tried to get in the head and think, what are they doing? Why do they think, I know what I'm going to do? I'm going to phone that person and give them what for? Why? You just keep living your best life, my friend. But PatFam1 says, not the asshole. And if she makes another phone call like that, you need to report her to HR for harassment. Her marital issues are not your business or your problem. AngieCats95 says, not the asshole. She can't dictate what you eat. Next time you bring in lunch, just tell the husband he can't have any as his wife has banned him. Unfair Ad says, not the asshole. You wouldn't be if you continue to bring your food. The dude is an asshole. His wife is an asshole for taking it out on you. Your dietary habits and what you bring isn't anyone's business. Perhaps bring enough food for yourself and that's it. Have other Kia workers ask. Just say that you don't want to cause issues anymore. The dude needs to step up and be better to his wife. If they have issues, that's between them and should stay between them. Engineering Owns is, not the asshole. It's not your fault her husband is an asshole. She should be having this discussion with him, not you. Instead of complaining about what you're doing that is upsetting her husband, maybe she should start making good food and being nicer. I'm only partially kidding here, but she is expecting someone else to change when she's not willing to, so mildly serious. My husband takes leftovers to work, and when we went for dinner with his CO workers the other night, I got nothing but compliments about how great his lunches always look and smell. How awesome for always having great food for him. Not a single person asked me to stop because they were jealous, which is what this lady is. And one more from Disney Addict who says, not the asshole. Honestly, speak to HR and report that whole conversation. That way you'll be protected if the wife takes it further. You don't know what she assumes about your relationship with her husband as well. What she did is completely inappropriate and, like you said, between her and her husband. Story 4. The bride's photos, and our next story is from Throw a Photo Op. Am I the asshole for charging to take photos of the bride? I'm a photographer. One of my family members had sent me a couple that was looking for a wedding photographer. From the get-go, the couple was being very frugal with their money. Since I had sympathy, I cut my prices to help lower that burden. From the get-go, they tried cutting every corner to get the most out of me. They wanted to dress their kids up and bring them to their engagement shoot so they could also sneak some family photos. Not cool, didn't allow it. They booked me for 3 hours at their wedding, and I knew this was going to pose a problem, but 3 was all they could afford and apparently all they needed. Leading up to the wedding, I knew that we didn't have any time to spare when it came to the photos. I asked the bride for the itinerary for the wedding and also all must-have photos with an example for her to use. The day before the wedding, she says there isn't a schedule and we will wing it, and the shot list definitely showed that someone did it last minute. The wedding day comes, and everything is an unorganized disaster. There were very few moments where the bride and groom could actually be taken away. The wedding was at 5 on a Friday. I was booked from 5 to 8. While I'm capturing all the important shots on the list, I'm trying to grab solo shots of the bride and groom, but they don't make time for me. Something was always coming up to where, when we were to go outside, they would tell me to wait. I even pushed my time to 8:30 because I knew there would be some regret later, so I tell them I'm leaving. And I just need a photo of them too. The groom comes out yelling because I've taken away from the party to take stupid pictures, and honestly, the behavior was grotesque. I took the picture and left. A week passes and I get a text from the bride at 11 p.m. Oh my god, I was just having so much fun that I just realized we didn't take any solo shots of myself. And she didn't because she wouldn't make the time to take them because she wouldn't give me a schedule that we could actually work with. So now, the bride is requesting that I do a greatly discounted or free bridal shoot for her since I didn't get any solo shots from the wedding. Am I the asshole for charging her for these photos? To me, they knew how many hours you were booked for. They kept putting you off, so this was them wasting their own time. They have to use that time if they want those photos. They were poorly planned and just executed everything pissed poorly, so 100% not the asshole for me. And you were kind enough at the very start to give them a discounted rate to begin with. And I bet you're regretting that one right now. A photographer that I used to work with that took pictures of the machine to the company that I used to work with. If they had like a bad photo shoot or some things didn't get done, they would send you an email of why things wasn't done. Like we had times where the machine broke down and stuff like that. And he would say, sorry, we only covered this much because machine broke down this time. Blah, blah, blah. And I would be tempted to do that to this couple and say, let me just give them a huge list of why they didn't get exactly why they want, and why they won't be getting anything unless they pay the full price in future. 100% not the asshole for me. But Z Alpha Pin says, not the asshole at all, and if she wants a bridal shoot, charge her full price. Even mention to her that you made several attempts. You're happy that she had a good time, and if she wants a separate shoot, here is the pricing and your availability. Dionysus says, not the asshole. They paid for your time, they should have used it. Their lack of organization cost them extra. You should be charging for additional pictures. Sinjury says, not the asshole. Imagine booking a performer for a party and they'd keep asking you if he can perform now, and you'd keep shrugging him off the whole duration of the party. Then you send him a mail like, oh my god, I just realized you didn't even perform. How about you come perform for free now? Nope, that's not how it works. They booked you for 3 hours. It's their responsibility to make sure they are available and motivated to get the pictures they want within that time. Time is money, friend, absolutely. Beach producer says, not the asshole. She understood the parameters of what you were hired for and didn't manage your time she was paying you for. Since that time has passed, you absolutely should charge it for the bridal shoot, and a premium at that for being the B word she is. Also, discuss in detail with your family member how the whole thing transpired, just like how you detailed here. Because a chick like this is undoubtedly thrown you under the bus to your own family member, trying to make you out to be the asshole. Hell, your family member might even be useful in pressing the shitty bride to compensate you properly for the bridal shoot. And one more from Ian Paradox saying, not the asshole. There is a reason that many wedding photographer contracts include a clause like this one, and if your contract doesn't have such a clause, add it. The contracting party further agrees that no complaint can be made after the fact that regards to missed images or failure to include important persons in specific images. The photographer highly recommends that the contracting party have someone at the event with a list of required images to assist in gathering the requisite important persons to be included in specific photographs. That someone is usually the best man or another member of the groom's party, since the bride and bridesmaids are usually a lot busier.